Okay.
So hello guys.
I think we're ready to start.
Yeah, sure. I think we can start. So like I said, my name is Tony.
Yes.
And just a moment. Yeah, so my name is Tony Gidra, and we lead the campus SheHacks campus sessions together with Nancy. But today she won't be able to join in. She'll be available, but she may not be able to unmute. She has a very bad cough. So today we'll be hosting.
No problem.
Yeah. So for the members, today we'll have Marcelo Cod on call today. He's a CISO, the Chief Information Security Officer at Apex FinTech. And today he's going to give us an insight on the recruiting from a recruiter's perspective, because most of us, I know, we want to get into the job market. So today at least we have somebody who is in the security field, and also from a recruiter's perspective is going to give us his views and how well maybe you can prepare as you maybe go into the market. So Russell, welcome. You can tell us more about yourself, then you can go ahead. And for the members, please feel free to ask any questions that you might have.
Yes, thank you. First and foremost, definitely appreciate SheHacks. I appreciate Nancy. I know you cannot speak and hope you feel better soon. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to this audience. It's definitely an honor for me to come and join you guys. I know as a preface, which I need to apologize ahead of time, is that if at any one time you don't hear me clearly, just let me know. I'm going to keep the presentation short because unfortunately work calls, and I had maybe at about 45 minutes or so will exit because I have a flight to catch. But what I wanted to, I'll start with myself. Obviously my names are out there, but I've been doing cybersecurity for a minute now. I don't know what the average age is on the group, but probably sometimes maybe as I would put it, maybe as long maybe as some of you have been. Some of you have been in school or even alive. I've been in the cybersecurity industry for 24 years. I started working for an Israeli company as a security engineer, worked for about 5-6 years. Then from there moved on to other roles within retail, within telecom, took on compliance roles, took on consulting roles, advisory roles. And then the last 9 years before I became the Chief Information Security Officer, I was a Vice President for Information Security for a company called Mr. Cooper. It's a mortgage company based out of Dallas, Texas. It's actually the second largest mortgage company in the US. So we built that. I was the second employee. We built this information security department from, I think, 2 employees when I joined, and we built it about 46 employees, and then 46 employees in InfoSec, but the organization had 11,000 employees. I've since then moved on to become the Chief Information Security Officer of Apex FinTech Solutions. Apex FinTech Solution is a Dallas-based as well, Dallas, Portland, New York, Ireland-based organization. And what we do currently is we deal with trading. So we are the middle office, back office, heavy engineering, a lot of engineer coding development that facilitate trade from the stock market, from fractionals, from crypto, and to NFTs. So I found that exciting, and that's why I joined that group to be able to lead on the new frontier of technology. And the mission is also resounds well with me, because our goal as Apex is to bring the ability of trading, ability of investment from to the local people, not just the normal millionaires who trade, but also anybody average Joe in the society should be able to trade. So that's really, in a nutshell, who I am. Maybe if there are more questions, I can answer, or you can reach out on LinkedIn if you want to know more. But more so, I just wanted to talk about recruiting. Yes, I may be an executive at where I am, but recruiting remains a priority of mine, and it's also how I'm measured. Do I hire well? Do I keep people well? Do I reward people well? Do I maintain them? I know sometimes there is a disconnect between what probably somebody stateside and maybe somebody in Kenya delves as the needs, but there's common things that run about. And I'm not sure if, Tony, I'm able to present because I prepared a small deck that I wanted to just run through to kind of guide us, but let me see if am I able to do that? Most likely. Let me try. So somebody give me a thumbs up if you see my screen.
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay, so I'll go with this for now, and that will help us do that. So what I wanted to give is pretty much from a recruiter, being somebody who hires, what I see, and maybe I've also tried to do as much and stayed in touch with some recruiting people in Kenya to give you maybe a perspective of what it is. But in general, it should be more of what we see as technologies. As technologists, what is needed. So the first thing which I'll get into, sorry about that, some technical difficulties here. So the first thing is, what do we do as recruiters? I crossed out retirement because right now retirement is more of a fallacy than anything. Nobody knows when retirement is, but pretty much with recruitment, part of my job is to recruit, to select and grade the people. So it depends on your resume. What have you done? What's your academics? What do you have what do you have for your extracurricular activities? Do you volunteer? Are you just to a course and stuff like that? I also facilitate career progression. So it's very good for you as you come into an organization. Let them know what you want. Don't be modest and not say, hey, I want to be a CISO one day. I want to be a CEO. I want to be that. Somebody knows your ambition right from the get-go. That way they don't curtail your growth. Also, just developing policies, procedures, and tools to support managers and the staff in my team. And this is pretty much for what I do. Then I'll get into the nitty-gritty of what your part is. Train and develop the talent that I have. Obviously, coaching is one that comes up as part of the job responsibility. The other part is just diversity and inclusivity. And this is obviously everybody struggles with what diversity is and inclusivity. I think from us, when you're in Kenya on the ground, it's women, it's tribal lines, it's everything like that. But on this side, it's obviously sexual orientation, it's race. But at the same time, diversity can be, even if you're one race, it's different experiences, what people bring to the table, people's inclusivity, just being able to foster an environment where people are free to share their ideas, be who they are, as opposed to trying to adapt to what the bigger team is. As we go on with this, there we go. So my people strategy, how I work and how I've managed to be able to manage teams is that I do the recruitment. I try and attract and retain the best talent, whether it's across the globe, and also give them possible stats. Also offer personal and professional development as to manage the talent. And also you have to reward fairly. People come in, they ask for sometimes low pay, but that does not mean you need to pay them low. You try and make it equitable to where they'll feel the need to stay there. And at the same time, they feel rewarded for the skills and experiences that they bring. And then the last one is just being very supportive and being inclusive of culture. These are pretty much my strategy. And as we go on, sorry guys, I don't know where that came from. So typical process that you may go through, you see a career opportunity, you apply for it. In today's world, you might get a phone call or you might get a Zoom interview. Then you go through the first round of interviews. You may get an assessment if applicable, which is both technical or behavioral. One thing which I urge, if you've not taken, I think they're free. If you've not taken a personality test, they're free on the web. Take one. That helps you learn yourself. If you're a group of students or group of friends, take the same personality test, exchange it in candidates and give feedback and see how accurate or close they are. because it's good to know yourself before you stage yourself for anything else. That way, when you're asked things like your strengths and your weakness, you are able to speak to, you're able to manage them, because we all have our strengths and weaknesses. So a personality test is good. There's a famous one, Myers-Briggs, there's a DISC. All those would be helpful for you to know yourself as an individual, so that when you come before me and I ask you, how do you handle conflict? It is fine. You tell yourself that, I think Joe has a question. Is that right? I think I asked on mute. But let me run through. Okay. All right, no problem. Thank you. So then assessment, if applicable, then obviously the next you might get your second round.
When she went on the scale, it said one at a time.
Okay. A second round interview, then you get to the decision and offer or the background check. The different jobs, most jobs, like from where I am, we make the offer sometimes before the background check. And if it's made before the background check, you might get an offer letter saying, hey, contingent to you passing a background check. If it's made post a background check that you've passed, you've done that. Now, this is some of snippets that I've been doing research on my own in terms of that. And if you look at that article and take note of it, if you hadn't read that article, you should look at it and see the contribution of what ICT is going to do to the Kenyan economy. Obviously, there's a very widening gap. I know it is such a hassle, obviously, at home. I'm not, as much as I've been here 20 plus years, I'm blessed enough to come home every year. So I've stayed in tune with what's at home. And sometimes you might get that gap where you try and try and try. The only thing I can urge, guys, please don't give up. There's a shortage, and as time builds up, there'll be that opportunity where it doesn't matter what color, what sexuality, where you hail from, so long as you have that skill and you've equipped yourself, then you should not worry, because those gaps will need to be filled, because the economy will start filling it. You've seen right now there's a big storm being made, and part and parcel of it to the ICT bill that they're trying to pass to be able to have us ICT professionals, I think, subscribe, pay a fee, get licensed and all that. And I think a very medieval bill and stuff. So when I started out in InfoSec, we were not a big shop, and InfoSec was not the new sex. It was not like the paying job was. I wanted to do it because I didn't like help desk. I didn't like desktop, and I found it intriguing. So when I started it, it wasn't that. And over time, it's built up. The same thing will start. And I'm not talking just about InfoSec. You'll see other skills that you'll be able to acquire over time or be able to focus on and build yourself. And when you're building yourself, right now, the beauty about technology is that it's becoming global. So the skills you acquire will not just be applicable in Kenya. So if your opportunity comes in, and it's not at home, widen it up. I know with time, as we talk as boardrooms here and stuff, they're going to start widening up and opening up more sponsorship position where you're able to come out and the company files for you. If it's green card, if it's Canada, if it's Australia, the opportunities, just look at it as a global, as you prepare yourself. Get the skills, because the skills that I'll go through that Kenya needs are equal to the same skills that we are looking for practitioners on this other side. All right, and then your part, what can you play? I've just included infographics of different articles I've read over time, just to see different areas of the world and what the skills gap is, because it's something I struggle with to equip my team. I have jobs that are open 90 days, 120 days trying to fulfill. So what I've put in bold are literally things that you can impact, things that you can do for yourself. They're things within your control. Being given the opportunity to enroll or get a job sometimes is hard. We know how we know what's on the ground, and sometimes it's difficult to get those opportunities. But these are things that I think you as a professional, as a young student, or as a student, because I don't know the diversity of the audience, can be able to prepare yourself for. So, you create your CV or your resume, however you refer to it. You search for the job, you apply, whether it's in Kenya, whether it's outside of Kenya, open be open to those opportunities, send or even complete the applications if it's digital wise. And then you prepare for job interviews, have mock interviews with your friend, just be very, play the part. You have a few friends who've gone for interviews and they've shared with you how the interview is. You tell them, hey, could you interview me? So they can replay what they went through, get that. And then if you get offered internships, which may be scarce, play on volunteer roles. I'll share a few sites. I haven't done a research on all of them, but some of those sites help you develop some of your skill sets and be able to put them. I've seen resumes that I can share with Nancy and Tony eventually and clean them up and share with you how people have put up these volunteer sites into their resume to build up what skills they've acquired. Be part of organizations, whether it's nonprofit, because they're soft skills that you also develop. So some of the demand skills that I see across the globe whether it's Kenya, whether it's in the US, whether it's in the UK, is machine learning, artificial intelligence, cloud computing skills, data science, programming, whether it's Java, Python, Go, any of the hot languages right now, mobile applications, APIs and stuff, your soft skills, your communication skills. You have things like, I think, I can't remember what, it escaped me. What's this speech thing? Toastmaster that you could join and enhance how to speak before public, how to present and stuff like that. Or sometimes just have mockers clubs and present to each other, have somebody learn a new tool or learn a new trade, present to you, develop your soft skills that way. Cybersecurity skills, big shortage globally. That this is a very global problem. Last week I was with interesting enough, the Australian government has even an ambassador in charge of cybersecurity. I met him and he was just talking about the shortage and how they were trying to look for talent here, but we already have a shortage. Data analytics as well, obviously big data. Data is one big skill that everybody needs. The world runs on data. I think it's a crown jewel of any company that's out there. As we go on, I think check out these resources. That's what I wanted to hide. Floating meeting controls. Check out these resources. Sorry, these are just some of the things. Obviously, like you can see, I've included some of the reports between Kenya and Uganda. Look at the right now the ICT sector is projected to be almost a $1.5 billion industry. So those are just opportunities that's going to grow and keep on growing. And I'm sure it's even much more because this is a very dated article. So some of the resources you could use is free code camp, Coordinity, Hack for Charity. I put an asterisk there. This is an Indian-based company that hacks for charity organizations. And I'm not sure of their admission. I don't know if they're restricted. I've not tried it, but Reallocate is another one. Makeadiff.org, #charity.org, and catchafire.org. These are all organizations that you can go pick up something that's dear to you if you like women empowerment, if you like whatever course you're up for. There's an organization of that kind and they're looking for a certain IT skill. Just volunteer time, get that skill. The hard part about IT is use it or lose it. So that's it's important to try and volunteer this so that you keep, especially if you're a coder, if you're a developer, if you're an engineer, if you're going to the hacking or pen test, you need to keep those fresh. So you could even volunteer, you could even approach organizations that you can offer your skills for free if they allow you with a non-disclosure for you to be able to do that. But all in the same, you still have to keep up with the same with the same thing. And for me, honestly, I tell people that what I look for is not just how many certifications you have, because you could be the sharpest person on earth, but how well can you get along with people? How well can you get along with people? How personable are you? Are you able to teach? Are you able to uplift other people? That's very big on me as a person. How are you going to fit the team? So the team is always a big thing, and team chemistry. We have had very sharp people join teams and just be disruptive. So I've had bad hires as a manager, and I've learned from it. And the team chemistry is very big. And then I always tell people I hire people with PhDs, not necessarily I always look, people ask me, what do you mean? That's very expensive talent, but it's pretty much people who are poor, not necessarily monetary, but poor, hungry, and determined. That's how I determine, like, are you hungry for knowledge? Are you determined to learn? Are you determined to get that? I'll give you an example. This summer we have internship program. So one intern I gave a young man who had a 3.9, almost 4.0 GPA doing his graduate school. And then the other one I gave a single parent, Black woman who had decided to reinvent herself, go back to school. She's not in college. She's taken a local technical college, and she's just determined to learn. So that's really, and you can see at that part, it meets two things. I gave somebody an opportunity. They're determined. At the same time, I still win because I bring diversity. We have a young fellow coming in. There is an older person coming in. Two different life experiences. It just makes the team richer. So with that said, really, I was making it short because I wanted it to be more interactive, despite me cutting the time short on it. But with that, I'll go over to questions. Or if there's something you want me to repeat, I'll be more than happy to answer. And remember, this is just the beginning of a relationship with SheHacks and most of you. So I'm on LinkedIn with the very same name. So you can always reach out for further questions. I know I talked fast and not everybody probably got what I said. So.
Okay, thanks so much, Russell. That was it was a very nice presentation. We have had much to learn. So I think for the members, if you have any question, maybe you can raise your hand. For the moment, I've disabled the chat. I think you saw what went down there. So I think
hey, it's a public site. No offense taken.
Yeah. So if you have a question,
if you're in cybersecurity, you see a lot. So
yeah. Okay, let's see. I think I see a hand.
Nita has raised her hand. So I'm not sure if I can.
Let me see.
If I can disable there. I think she's on.
Yes.
Nita, you should be on.
Yeah. Hi everyone.
Hey.
Thank you for the session. I'd like to ask, when you're applying for a position, especially as a recent graduate, is it advisable to just throw yourself into the ocean? Let's say, for example, if there is an opening for cybersecurity officer, you apply for that. If there's an opening for application security, you apply for that. Is it good to throw yourself into the ocean, then later on in your career life is when you decide what to major on, or what your specialty will be?
Yeah, that's a good question, Nita. I think, yes, we always say get yourself out there, but how do you get yourself out there? You also have to set yourself for success. For example, if you see an opening, for example, for, like you said, an information security officer, they always put up years of experience or what the job requires. Sometimes don't pay a lot to the years of experience, because one thing which we as managers and recruiters need to improve is our job descriptions. We write job descriptions that sometimes prohibit people applying. Because it says, you entry level, but it wants you with 10 certifications and these certifications are not cheap. So what I would argue is, like, there are some sites that you need to look at what's entry level and what's climbing up. Like if you have a bachelor's, or if you have a bachelor's plus a master's, that's equivalent of a certain number of years of experience. I'm not sure what it equates to. So if I would look at more of the job description and see if that interests you. And more so, does the company interest you? If that's a job description that gets your foot into the door and you go in and prove yourself, then go for it. So don't pay attention so much of the title than anything. Just read the job description carefully and say, oh, I can do this, I can do this. The only thing I don't have is maybe these 3 years of experience. But then you can put yourself in there and say, okay, I can do all this thing despite not having 3 years of experience. So your intro letter or your profile should be customized to meet those needs, as opposed to just getting yourself to a very senior level when they're looking for an entry level. So I would pay more attention to the job descriptions. And do you think you can be able to do that? Or are you determined to learn those? Then throw yourself out there. It's like fishing sometimes, looking for a job. The more you cast, the more chances of something being baited. Does that answer your question? All right, I think Eleanor is, I don't know if I answered Nita's question. I didn't hear feedback, but if you're good, Nita, you can just give me a thumbs up. So
I can see a question from Teddy. He's saying, let's say you don't have a degree nor any certification, but you have self-learned a skill like penetration testing. Is it possible to get your foot through the door, say even getting an internship?
That's a tough one, really. You'll have to be patient, because it will depend on the hiring manager and the mindset. Unfortunately, some of us are old and clunky and only believe that you have to have a degree. And unfortunately, cybersecurity or IT has a lot of self-learning, especially now with all these on-demand courses that people can take. So what I would urge is you keep trying, but the best thing you can do also is try and see if you can do exploits that you can write CVEs. The reason I say that is I've once had an 18-year-old who didn't have formal education per se, but he was light years ahead because he had published CVEs. So if you're a pen tester, then those are the angles you go. How much bounty, how much CVEs, how much vulnerability have you found and stuff, and prop your stuff, because that's the thing. Then the other thing I say some people is then make a way of maybe getting a certificate or two. You may not believe in it, but the problem is your employer believes in it. So sometimes you might get it as a check the box. That way they don't rule you out because of that. So I wouldn't say in today's age, you will get a job. It might just take you longer because there is still that traditional belief that you have to go conventional. Yet this field has proven over and over that most people, not most, but there's a good percentage of people with, extreme academia and people who did not go academia. They went technical route from the get-go.
Okay, I think that's answered. I think along the same lines, does playing CTFs contribute maybe to getting you the job when it comes to penetration testing?
Does what?
Playing the CTFs, capture the flag challenges.
Yeah, it does. It does, because those are achievements. It's all how you put your resume. Those are trophies that you can float. Those are trophies that you can display and say, hey, I've been in 10 capture the flags and I've done that. That shows a different skill set. So yeah, don't get into anything and leave it out. Think, this might not. No, put it there, because it'll be ground of communication, ground of a conversation.
Okay. We have another question from, I think it's Eddie. Eddie K. He's asking, when recruiting people, are interviews more practical or is it just Q&A?
It depends on the organization. For example, I'm in a fintech company, so we're heavy engineering, we code. So there are positions that we code that will give you a coding test, several coding tests, because we write, we transact several billions a day. So the APIs need to be pristine and stuff. So you can't just say, it can't just be a Q&A. So if you're applying for lead engineer or head engineering, security, whatever engineering, we do code. Others are more, other positions, for example, I don't have tests for the people coming in, but I ask both technical, you'll have technical and behavioral questions. But people who are going to write code, they do have coding exams. So you should be comfortable with either.
Okay, let me see. Okay, we have a question from Grace. She's asking, what are some of the questions you ask during the interviews?
It depends, and I wouldn't say depends because that's a common answer, but at what stage, what should I expect next? What should I expect next? What's your company's policy on diversity? Do you have a budget for training and development? Do you help people with training? What are your promotion rates? What's your attrition? How frequent do people leave your company? Compensation wise, do I have to wait for an annual? Is there a bonus? Do you offer ad hoc compensation? Like, for example, do you get a salary raise after 10 years of working, or do I get a salary raise in a year? And then if it's a sure win that you're going in, then you ask them, hey, what am I expected to deliver? How are you going to measure my success in the first year of 30, 90 days? That way you go in knowing I'll be measured this. If they're giving you reaching the sky and you won't be able to, then you might as well not take it. Or just
Okay. Let me see. We have a question from Abdi Hakim. He's asking, okay, I think this is complex. What is the best career path of starting and getting into cybersecurity for a person fresh out of high school or university?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. What I would urge is, if you're going cyber, most people who want to go cybersecurity already have an IT background or have some semblance of IT background. So what I would urge you is get into any company that has an ICT department, because that's one way. So there are different paths, because in that way you're already inside, and during the interview you can express that your path of growth is to get into information technology. So if they have inside training, inside moving, which should be one of those things, can you change departments? Can you move to other areas of interest? Then you can be able to be already inside. The other part is just doing your research and seeing what area do I enjoy most. Like, that's what I was saying, when you do these volunteer opportunities, when you're taking classes and stuff like that. Like, for example, I did well or relatively well in coding in college, but I didn't enjoy coding. So I knew there's no way I'm going to be an engineer and code all day. That would be boring to me. So sometimes you have to play your personality. That's why I say play your personality test. If you're a people person, you might want to go GRC. If you like solving problems, there's pen test and stuff. So there's personality that matches with some of this. And then I think there's a website also called CyberSeek. It breaks down different areas of cybersecurity. So you have to do your homework and see how many. The challenge with cybersecurity is wide and it fits every personality, technical or non-technical.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I think along the same lines, I would want to ask something, a topic that you always have people asking, a very controversial topic. It's always, do you need to know how to code to get into security?
No. It's not controversial at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
I have a team of 12, only 3 code.
Wow.
And it's not a requirement. They just code to make our life easier. And you need to learn how to code if you're going to go into pen test. That's what I'm saying. It depends on the area.
Okay. Yeah. We have a question from Shem. The certification one gets from self-learning for some courses, e.g. Cisco Online, important? Or I think I can also add, we have also sites like maybe we have Udemy, Masterclass, Coursera, Udacity. So do those certifications, like, can they give you the job?
They may not. They may, yes, or they may not. But you remember one of the things I look at is determination. So, and hungry. So those definitely demonstrate that.
Okay. Let me see these other questions.
Yes, so you mean a cybersecurity has no requirement for coding? Yes, I do. I mean it very well. I've managed teams. thing is, if you're going to that, you can learn it to know how you structure your thinking and everything. But it's not that that you need to do that. Yes. Yes, not must be, but yes, I'm sure the certifications, yes, you can include them in your resume, Shem. I'm also reading the chat. Well, any other question? I think Alan, or did you ask a question? Alan, or has raised your hand for quite a minute. Like I said, I'll just request that way. There might be a couple more questions I may be able to answer before I'm able to take. What's do they count, especially when applying for pen test?
Alinori, I think.
Oh, sure. Sure. Thank you very much. I'm now able to. I was struggling to unmute. Thank you very much. My name is Alnor Kwena. Thank you very much, Banokot, for your very wonderful insights and the career guidance. I do career mentorship a lot, and I'm very much happy that you've offered your very valuable time to share and respond to some of the questions that I also come across very frequently in similar conversations. Now, just to add on what you've already said, my very common argument when it comes to mostly fresh graduates and maybe, as I had posted, career beginners, before you start thinking of what looking for employment, I always argue that you first of all define your career path, because as a recruiter, sometimes you'll get a huge number of applications, but when you filter down when you narrow down, maybe you get 1,000, and then narrow down to a long list of 800, short list of 100, and then maybe in an interview you will get 20. Most of the time you realize, I've come to learn, or rather with the experience, I've realized there's a disconnect between what people have on their papers. You say you have a BBIT as your undergraduate, you have a Master of Information Technology, maybe. But when this candidate presents themselves for an interview, you realize most of the time they've been doing something different, or some of them have not even done anything at all. So there's a point you talked about. Sometimes after getting the certificate, if you've graduated, you may need to look even for institutions, for organizations where you can practice, you can learn the skills that you learn, so that when you appear before a panelist, before a recruitment panel, you try to cover the gap between what practically your technical competencies, your skills, and your academic qualifications. That's why.
I don't want to cut you short, Alnori, but my apologies, because I have to actually leave in a few and catch a flight. So do you have a question, or were you just giving a comment? Because
sure.
I agree there's a disconnect, but I think it is up to me, it is up to you, people who are offering advice, to give sound advice on what routes the young career and beginners can be, because you can't blame a young mind for trying what they want to try. And at the same time, with the scarce opportunities, that's why you get a lot. There's few opportunities and many people are interested. So I think we need to influence the human resources to start hiring, right? Giving opportunities, and also not so being stacked up. And we need to learn how to give people freshly graduating. You don't expect a graduate to have 2-3 years of experience. but do they have the determination and at least the knowledge or skill set behind it? But I had to cut short and be rude. Tony and Nancy and the rest of you, please forgive me. But if I don't leave now, I'm going to miss a flight. So yeah, please just reach out to me via LinkedIn, and I'll be more than happy to connect and answer. And I'll look back with SheHacks. We can have another follow-up session on just Q&A for those who are interested. With now.
I think we lost Russell, but as he said, he was actually just leaving. So I think thanks so much, guys, for joining. I hope you got the information that you needed. We'll try having him next time. Maybe for those who are left out in the questions, maybe you can ask next time. So this session was recorded. You can find it on YouTube in the SheHacks channel. Yeah, feel free to subscribe there. So thank you all for joining and have a good night.